You'd have to consider National Academy, the Burks, the Parkettes, but it's that fourth position that really surprised us last year and will probably surprise us again.
Well, it was a big surprise. Atlanta last year just barely got in. It was a very tightly fought competition, and if I had to take a guess, this is one time I can't come up with a prediction, Alan.
Now, still, we are going to be seeing those famous names that we love to see in this competition.
Well, we will see some just tremendous athletes here. Tracy Talavera is with the National Academy. She's won more honors and awards than you could possibly imagine in the United States, and she also won a bronze medal at the World Championships on the balance beam. We have Gina Sloan from the Parkettes, an outstanding performer, a national team member, also a World Championship team member, and Michelle Goodwin, who did so well recently at the Championships of the United States. And they're going to be competing with some of their teammates who are just 11 and 12 years of age. And I find that an interesting mixture.
Well, we're looking forward to having you join us as we watch 8 teams clash in the semifinals of the 1983 USAIGC Team Championships for the United States. We'll be back on USA to Pennsylvania Dutch country to begin our coverage after the...
We begin short, sweet, and to the point with vaulting competition from Albright College in Reading, PA in the semifinals of the USAIGC National Team Championships. 8 teams begin here. 4 teams will be the cream that rises to the top after this competition. And we begin with the Burks team, the hosts for this event, and Nina Butera.
Acrobatics, that's the name of the game, and it's a Sukahara with a full twist. And she did a real good job on that one, Alan. And Alan, you asked me in the quarterfinals, were the athletes up for that particular event? And I said, really, they weren't quite up for that, but I know that today it's going to be very important because 4 teams are going into the finals, and even a team such as the Burks, they can't let down. A few mistakes here and there, maybe another team could slide right in there and pass them by. It's happened before.
Nina registers a 9.30 her first attempt. Each gymnast gets 2, and they will keep the higher of the 2 scores. Very benevolent system. Ms. Butera is the 1983 Pennsylvania State vaulting champion, so this is an event she feels very comfortable with.
Well, the first vault was an exceptional one. Sukahara full twist. That time she crashed a little bit, Alan. That'd be at least a 5/10 deduction on that.
And I think they will wind up keeping that first score. Let's see if we can find out what happened here that went Nina in the wrong way.
Well, didn't rotate around enough and was short on her landing. Her knee touched the ground.
And it is a disappointing 8.70, so Nina Butera of the Burks will keep that 9.30. So for the short time being, that will be the score to beat. And now the transplanted 18-year-old from Great Britain, the reigning champion of that country, Cheryl Weatherstone.
And a Sukahara full twist. It's one vault after the next. The kids are doing these vaults like they're nothing today. At one time, this vault was performed only by the top 1 or 2 gymnasts in the world. A Sukahara full twist.
And immediately, John, we're seeing a different level of intensity, a different level of enthusiasm, and an elevated level of crisp performances. 9.45 for Cheryl Weatherstone, and that now is the score to beat. And she has one more vault coming to her.
She's ready to go. Sukahara with a full twist, half turn on the horse, back somersault with a full twist. And Cheryl's very quick as a cat. Good controlled landing. This is going to be a better score than the first vault.
Her smile would make you think so.
Half turn on, back somersault with the full turn. And a fine landing, Alan.
And a fine score, 9.55 for Cheryl Weatherstone from Great Britain. Now performing for the Burks of Reading, PA. And that's the score to beat. Now to Michelle Goodwin, Cheryl's teammate. Michelle performed so well in the quarterfinals, was the all-around winner.
Full turn on, full turn off, through a handspring. She maintained very good form throughout the entire move. Full turn on, full turn off. If you notice, the feet were pretty well together and toes pointed.
9.55. That ties the score of Cheryl Weatherstone. And while there is some good competition within the team, Michelle has just enhanced the Burke's position now at the top of the vaulting numbers. She's had a brief conversation with Tom McCarthy, the dedicated coach of this Burke's team. And here she goes, second attempt.
Another full twisting, handspring on, full twist off. Just a little hop forward. Legs were a little split there. But aside from that, it was another very good vault. And here we can take a second look. Full turn on, full turn off, big hop forward. Otherwise, Alan, pretty good.
And for Michelle Goodwin, a 9.40, so that means she'll keep the first score, the better of the two, 9.55. And the Burkes have firmly established themselves up near the top, and that puts the pressure on the other competitors. And we start off with Cheryl Kaneshiro of the Marvatines.
Watch this kid fly. She is very powerful. Sukahara with a full twist, and you know what she did very well there, Alan, is that she managed to go a long distance away from the horse. Watch this. Look how far she travels away from the horse. Not a bad landing. The key thing here for her to increase the score would be to go a little bit higher, more amplitude off the horse.
9.45 for this 13-year-old.
Well, insufficient flight or height, in each case, could be a 5/10 deduction, up to a 5/10 deduction.
She's been involved in gymnastics for 8 years. Oh, now that was nice.
How'd you like that landing, huh?
Very nice.
Another full twisting Sukahara. You know this has to be better scored. Look at the landing.
Now, Marvatines comes from Maryland, Mar, and Virginia, VA, Marvatines, and of course they are marvelous teens. Cheryl Kaneshiro, a 9.60 on that second vault. That puts her, at least for now, on the top. And here's Beth Anderson from the Atlanta Gymnats, 9.60. This team last year moved on to the Final Four. They have their work cut out for them in 1983.
Handspring front somersault. Handstand, pushes off the horse, nice tight tuck position on a solid landing, just a step to the side.
And for Beth Anderson, a 9.20, and that won't quite cut it, considering the competition has developed so quickly. Beth moved away from home, which was Durham, North Carolina, in 1982 to train with the Atlanta Gymnats. That's the type of dedication. I mean, for a teenager to move away from home.
It'll be another handspring front, maybe a little bit higher this time. It was a little bit higher, but she over-rotated it and landed on her hands and knees, and that's a major, major deduction. She was up a little bit higher, had good rotation, but over-rotated it, lost control, and down.
And even after that, she stood up, gave a quick smile, and walked off the mat, and her face just collapsed. Now on to the Rich Sakunas coach team, the Sakunas and Diane Volpe.
Handspring front somersault, way up there, over-rotated it, and hopped right off the mat. Let's remember that every step the gymnast takes when she's out of control on her landing is a 10th deduction. So here's the handspring front. 1, 2, 3/10 of a point off.
But in the vault, you get another chance. This is an explosive little package we have here, isn't it?
Yes, she does fly. She sprouted wings about a year ago, but they decided to clip them a little bit. And she looks like she's a very intense kid. And look at this run. Look at the determination on the run. Handspring front somersault. a little bit low on the landing. Big step forward. Handspring front somersault, kind of low, just bailed it out.
And a 9.10 for Diane Volpe. She'll keep the first score, 9.20. And we will step away for just a second, but continue with more vaulting in just a moment on US. Reading, Pennsylvania, continuing with the vault. Tracy Hinkle of the Parkettes still looking at a score to beat of 9.60. The Parkettes, the winning team in the quarterfinals, but they can forget about that performance. The scores do not carry over. And here in the semifinals, a brand new day.
Handspring, half turn, back somersault. And that's Tracy Hinkle's favorite vault. A good blocking action, pushes off the horse real hard, half turn, back somersault, a little out of control in the landing and almost off the mat.
And Tracy Hinkle tallies a 9.35. 25/100ths off the top score. She now steps to the edge of the runway for attempt number 2. As you can see, the judges and all the little helpers around this court wearing the outfits of the Amish country. We're right in the middle of it.
Well, let's see if Tracy could improve her score. I think that in order to do so, her landing must be better controlled. Another handspring somersault, and it was better controlled, and you'll see a score that's going to reflect that, Alan.
And a face that reflects it as well.
Handspring, half turn, back somersault, and quite the landing.
And a 9.50 as the final score for Tracy Hinkle. So she keeps the second of the 2 that she scored. And a packed house is here at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania. And they'll be back again for the finals. Here's Gina Stallone, a very exciting gymnast for the Parkettes.
Sukahara full twist, and that has to hurt the knees. But Gina comes up with a big smile. She didn't get all the way around, Alan. We've seen that happen before. And it's a Sukahara full twist, and look at this. Pounds one knee right into there and just gets up in a big smile. She's a girl that has a lot of national and international experience in competition.
It takes up a full page on her profile.
Yes, she's been very successful in the last few years.
Gina's 17 years old, and very much like John Trietta, she likes to collect unicorns.
Another Sukahara full twist, and basically just about the same. She's just not getting around on that, and she's been having problems with vaulting this entire week. I've been watching her in workouts. Half turn on, the push,
That's got
right on her knees.
The toes, ouch. Gina Stallone, 8.95, not what she'd like. She'll settle, however, for a 9.20, the first vault score. The Parkettes trying to stay on top where they finished up. You saw someone sneak in there for an autograph for Gina Stallone. Here's little Tracy Kalor. She impressed us in the quarterfinals.
And she flies a Sukahara in layout position. You know, what's absolutely amazing about this, Alan, is that she's moving so quickly, rotating in so many different directions, and nails that landing. That's what we call tremendous air sense.
And Tracy Kalor registers a 9.70. That is a top score for this Parkettes team. And if you thought unicorns was strange, how about stuffed frogs? That's what Tracy Kalor likes to collect.
Stuffed frogs, huh?
It's a biggie. So was that score. Let's see if she can top it.
It's going to be a tough one to top. High difficulty skill. Sukahara in layout position, straight body.
Crowd loved it.
Pretty close.
Anything you can see wrong with it?
Half turn on, yes, the landing. Just a little bit of a hop backwards. That's about it.
And the score 9-7-0. Boy, twice Tracy Kalor knocked two big scores in for her team. So the final score for her is 9-7-0. Here's the very spirited Cindy Cole of the National Academy, the defending champion, 6 years running.
Sukahara, she lays it around and then pikes it down. Laying it around means she's going around with an open body, straight body position, and then pikes it in the hips at the last moment. Lays it around, then pikes it around, and pretty nice. Just a little scatter step at the very end.
Julianne Brumbaugh is warming up in the background. Cindy Cole is 15 years old, and she lives, as most of the members of the National Academy do, in Eugene, Oregon.
Could be another Sukahara. It is, and it's a little bit better, a little more distance, a little more amplitude, and just one step backwards. A good push off the horse, a little higher, a little better form, and only one step backwards.
And the score for Cindy Cole, a 9.45. Not a bad score, but it won't be near the top, and that is the score that she will keep. And now Julianne Brumbaugh, the National Academy, coached by Dick Mulvihill.
There she is, taking off, punching the board. Sukahara full twist, way out at the end of the mat. I'm amazed by the number of kids doing these Sukahara full twists. A little step backwards. Looked like a pretty good ball to me.
The judges thought it was a 9.35. They are, the judges, that is, 4 in number. The top score and the low score are removed, and the middle two scores are averaged. And that is how they arrive at the final number. Second attempt now for Julianne Brumbaugh.
Julianne might have been a little bit weak in her form in the execution of the move. Let's see if it can be improved slightly. Yes. And I thought it was a very good landing, just one big step backwards.
9.50 for Julianne Brumbaugh, so she improved by 0.15 of a point. And this is a young lady the crowd's been waiting to see, Tracy Talavera. Had 3 disappointing routines in the quarterfinals, then finished up with a fine floor exercise. Here she is on the vault.
A round of back handspring, Sukahara full twist, and it was low, but our hands did not touch the ground, which is very important. There's Dick Mulvihill giving her some advice. Watch this, round off, back handspring onto the horse, Sukahara full twist off. There's so many different elements and aspects of this vault that just the slightest lack of coordination or timing could throw the gymnast way off.
9.35 for Tracy Talavera. Still that score to beat. 9.70. Tracy Kalor of the Parkettes getting that score. We're in Berks County. The home team is the Berks, but only 40 minutes or so from here is Allentown, PA, and that is the home of the Parkettes. And those two teams are receiving the cheers.
Round of back handspring, Sukahara, a slightly better vault. He was up there a little bit higher, Alan, but still a little bit low on the landing. Such a difficult vault.
Well, they say the champions rise to the occasion. Maybe Tracy's saving her biggest and bestest for the finals.
Well, I think this is a pretty good vault anyhow. 9.5 is no slouchy vault.
No, not at all. 9.50 for Tracy Talavera. On to the team that finished 4th in the quarterfinals, the Arena. Katie Everett will be the performer for them.
Sukahara in pike position. And Alan, you could tell just by the speed of the run, it's not going to be the more difficult vault, which requires more air time. You have to be up there longer for the more difficult vaults. In order to do that, you have to run faster and be more explosive off the board and the horse, the blocking actions.
Well, her score reflected your comments, 8.80 for Katie Everett. You know, look down the profiles of these gymnasts, and they're all into sailing and skiing and tennis and running. Their interest in athletics goes far beyond the gymnasium. Second attempt.
Sukahara in layout position, a better vault. A more difficult vault. It was in laid out position, and she had a pretty good landing.
Her feet got tangled up just a little bit. Katie Everett receives a 9.15, and that will be her final score in the vaulting for the arena. And that concludes the overall vaulting competition. Tracy Calor of the Parkettes wins it. Cheryl Kaneshiro of the Marvatines in second. Michelle Goodwin finishing in third. The National Academy followed by the Parkettes, the Burks, and the Marvatines. That's how they are 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the team standings after one event. We will continue on USA with the USAIGC semifinal. Back at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, they're tightening, adjusting, and making sure everything is right on the bars. And when it comes to the Burks team and to this meet overall, there is one man who is the boss and who is making sure that everything goes right here. He is visiting with John Trietta.
Tom McCarthy, the head coach of the Burks Academy, and Tom has produced many national champions, and I was always curious. Tom, you have on your team right now the national champion of Great Britain, Cheryl Weatherstone. You have Michelle Goodwin. You have kids training in your school from New Jersey and all other parts of the country. What attracts them to the Burks?
I know a few of the kids have come because I think of our coaching style is very family-oriented and actually quite affectionate, okay? One of the things that we feel very strongly about is our relationship with the kids, besides the obvious needs for the sports as far as training and things of that nature. What we try and implement is the fact that we're teaching a sport, John, as you well know, that is unnatural. We teach the kids to fly. We teach the kids to do different things while they're flying, and they have to fly in 4 different events. So we're teaching things that are generally not taught in other activities. And obviously, when one of the girls you mentioned is in the air, if they make a mistake, they're counting on me or someone of my staff to bring them down safely. So the relationship and the rapport between coach and student, I think, is got to be considered the most unique of any sport that we know.
What amazes me very often is that here you are thrust into a parental role because the kids are living away from home, some of them, and they spend a lot of time with you. What are some of those responsibilities when you're placed in this role? Well,
I think, first of all, I'll start discussing that. I'm in this position. My degree is in music. It wasn't a phys ed. I was not a phys ed personnel. I do it because of that very special relationship, all right? I need, as a coach, as a human being, a very strong, gutsy, intense rapport with other human beings. So I sought out the sport because of the needs, once again, that we discussed about their needing me when they're in trouble or one of my staff, okay? So the relationship that we have encompasses so many things. You've got to be a therapist oftentimes. You have to deal with them emotionally many, many times. You have to write the rules for what happens when they're away from home and you're actually on the road with them, out of the country, for example, or even domestically. Oftentimes you're a tutor. Many times I go discuss things with administrators at school. And then I become a coach after all those things.
And when you do become a coach, your coaching style is a little bit different than what we see as the so-called normal coaching style. You don't quite spend as much time in the gym as other gymnastic schools and coaching situations. Why?
Well, I think that's a fair observation first, John, okay? We're, again, trying, at least in our facility, to make the image of a gymnast be something other than possibly what they're already received at from the community. They're not an odd duck. They're not someone who stays in a gymnasium 7 days a week, 7 hours a day, and doesn't know how to function in the normal world. And after they get out of the gym at age 17 or 18 and go to college, they do know how to function. They do know how to handle academics. They do know how to handle responsibilities outside of the gym. They do know how to be a young lady, okay? So what we do, because we have so many kids that travel an hour one way or an hour and a half one way, we minimize our training time and maximize, we hope, our quality of our training time, therefore allowing them to be as traditional and normal a young lady in America as we possibly can.
And yet you're still successful. Congratulations and good luck.
Thanks so much, John. Thanks for having us.
Coach, confidant, and air traffic controller, even-tempered Tom McCarthy takes his Berks team into the uneven bars as we continue our coverage of the USAIGCs from Reading, Pennsylvania on USA. And we'll see his music influence later in floor exercise. But first, we will see his team on the uneven bars, and we start off with the lady from Great Britain, Cheryl Weatherstone. 18 years old. Old in comparison to the other.
Old, very old. Ancient, right?
John, I don't know about you. I don't have any children. You do, but Tom McCarthy just is the type of coach that I would just say to my young lady, get over there and listen to this guy, because he has that type of personality.
Yes, he's a wonderful man, and he's done a great job, and Cheryl is performing just a super routine. Her transitions from one bar to the next were excellent. Her dismount was way above the low bar. And watch his combinations of her giant swings on the top bar. Watch this now. She brings her feet to the top bar and over the low bar. That's it. An incredible combination.
If you really want a true indication of how fine a routine it was, you look at the hugs that the gymnast gets when they come back to the team. 9-3-0 for Cheryl Weatherstone. If the hugs are genuine, you can tell. If they're not, well, then the routine was just eh. That's a happy face. And now to Amy Appler, also of the Berks team. Making sure everything is exactly where it's supposed to be.
Amy utilizes her strong upper body strength as she swings from one bar to the next. And here are stall the shoots. Release the top bar, goes to the low bar, immediately into another stall the shoot. Back to the top bar. Great crowd here today. And to free hip, front somersault off. And you hear the crowd, they love it. Berks have come up with another winning routine.
A kiss for Coach Tom McCarthy. And a replay for Amy Appler.
But watch her dismount. It's a free hip, underswing, to a front somersault, way above the top bar, and a real controlled landing.
Amy Appler's score, 9.40. That will put her in the lead, at least for now. On to Michelle Goodwin.
Michelle's going to perform a move named after her, the Goodwin Mount. This is it. A front somersault with a half turn over the low bar, and off she goes.
Not as sharp as I think she performed it in the quarterfinals.
Not quite as sharp, but pretty good. So far, the rest of the routine is up to par. And you know about Par Allen being a golf player.
No, I know about Bogey being a golf player. Michelle Goodwin turns in another fine performance for this Berks team, and they're on a roll.
One solid performance after the next. Watch the mount. It is a round off onto the board. Now she does a half turn to a front somersault, and you can see where she stops, just above the low bar.
And I thought the other time that we had seen her make that move, she landed with her thighs on the bar and got a good bounce off the low bar onto the high bar.
Getting too good.
Well, you know.
Troutwig, you know, what's going on here? I mean, we're going to switch positions here soon.
Sitting with the coach. Here's Cheryl Kaneshiro of the Marvatines.
Yeah, you were so right. You're right. She got a better bounce off the ball last time.
Marvatines were in 4th spot after one event.
And these coaches are going to ask you if you want a job soon.
And I'll say no.
Wow, that was a giant swing, and then she went through the bottom, half-turn front somersault in straddle position. That was a great combination. Cheryl did a great job on vault with a 9-6, and here's another outstanding routine double back somersault. Gary Anderson has done a marvelous job with this young bunch of athletes here, and watch this combination coming up. A free hip to a handstand. Giant swing, down, double back somersault for a dismount. Only one big step forward.
Well, the team from the Lehigh Valley, the Parkettes, are being challenged with some other fine performances. As the Marvatines crowd around Cheryl Kaneshiro, she receives a 9.50. Still the score to beat, 9.55 of Michelle Goodwin. Boy, she has been something in this USAIGC championship so far.
Toe on, toe off.
This is Cindy Gasick of the arena team.
Toe on front with a half. Oh, I like the way that was performed. Very precise.
Got good height on the dismount.
There's a coach, Andy Antonelli. Andy's done just a super job with this young team here.
And replay time.
And here it comes. The dismount. A front somersault with a half turn in pike position. Nice quick hip action on that. Just a little step forward, but she was way up there, Alan.
Cindy's score, a 9.25. 3/10 away from the top score registered so far. We now switch over to the Sakunas and Kim Kraft. Remember, this is the semifinals. There'll be one more day of competition after this. 8 teams began this day. 4 will survive this day and move to the finals.
Sometimes you forget the age of these kids, but this youngster, she's 11 years old. Look what she's doing.
What were you doing when you were 11, John?
I was swinging on trees.
You and Cheetah?
I didn't know about gymnastics at that time.
Well, Kim Kraft knows about it at 11 years old.
Kim did a really neat routine. Her form was a little off at various points, but here's a giant swing. She got almost stuck in the giant swing. And here, toe on, toe off. And over the low bar for a transition. Just slight knee bends here and there. That's why her score most likely won't be as high as could be expected.
And it is not as high as expected. 8.90 for Kim Kraft. And the Sakunas. Some are down, more to come. We'll bring you the pictures in just a week, along with John Troietta and a cast of a few thousand here at Albright College, getting ready to watch Tracy Butler of the Parkettes perform on the uneven bars. Still the score to beat, 9.55. This is the team that finished on top in the quarterfinals.
Championships of the United States, #1 junior gymnast, 14 and under category. Smooth transitions from one bar to the next. What I like, her excellent demonstration of form, toe point.
Boy, she's moving around very, very nicely.
Isn't she smooth? Giant swing, getting set for a dismount, a full twisting back somersault with a great landing.
That could challenge for the lead. Tracy Butler of the Parkettes. And they're waving their little hankies, Parkette Power. They're here en force from Allentown, PA. Another look at it.
Here's a pirouette, giant swing, smooth. Cross change, hops over the low bar. Nice transition from one bar to the next.
And Tracy Butler receives a 9.35 from the judges. A little lower than I expected to see, but nonetheless, that's what she receives. Still the score to beat, 9.55. And look at that face. As we continue on the uneven bars, getting set for the next competitor, which is also a member of the Parkettes, Tracy Hinkle.
Tracy has a very, very neat, high-risk move in her routine, and it's this front somersault. And watch how she does it, Alan. She doesn't hold back. She goes all out. Stall the shoot here. Jams both legs through the bars. To the top bar. Free hip. Here it comes. It's coming up. She does a half turn at the bottom to a front somersault. There it is. All out. Makes it look so easy, but in practice she was having so many problems with it. It's nice seeing her hit this move at this time. And her dismount. Like a machine.
Tracy Hinkle brings her teammates to their feet. John, the bars now are made of fiberglass. Has that helped the gymnasts over the years?
Yeah, watch this. Watch this bar, how it bends as she does this front somersault. See that bar? Now watch it bend again. That has a tremendous amount of flex to it and allows them to really take advantage of the swing and the release movements.
There's a tie at the top now, 9.55 for Tracy Hinkle, who has had other successes on the bars. At the Canadian Classic in 1982, she finished second. On now to the lady who has certainly the longest biography on the Parkettes team, Gina Stallone. How does Gina usually fare on this event? Is this one of her best ones?
Gina's good on every event. She made the World Championships team. In order to make that, she had to be in the top 6. The Championships of the United States, I think a year ago, or 2 years ago, she was in 3rd place. And she's been in the top 3, top 6 in the United States the last 2 years. And in order to do that, you've got to be good on every event. It's called all around.
She says she's always telling people that she is not related to Sylvester Stallone.
1.5 twists on the top bar. Pirouette, pirouette. A little bit of a problem here. Getting set for a dismount. I think Gina did a little innovation there, but covered up very, very well.
The dismount looked very nice.
Well, let's take a look. Pirouette, 1.5 twists on the pirouette. On a top bar, pretty neat stuff. Here's another pirouette. I think that's where she did that little bit of innovation, and I think she was very smart in the way she covered up.
Well, the judges liked it pretty well. 9.50 for Gina Stallone. That's only 0.05 off the leading pace. It's a tiresome day, not only for the gymnasts. Here's Yolanda Mavety, National Academy. On a very warm day in Reading, Pennsylvania. It is very warm inside this gymnasium. Expected to be even warmer for the finals.
Nice smooth swing. Giant swing. Watch this cross change front somersault. That's wild. Getting set for a dismount. Giant swing, toe on front with a half. nails that landing. It's going to be a good score. Watch this, Alan. A giant swing, and she takes her hand and she crosses it over, allowing her to make a half turn at the bottom of the bar and then the front somersault in straddle position.
Does that crossing of the hands help your momentum at all? Does it increase your speed?
It allows her to turn her body underneath the bar.
9.40 for Yolanda Mavety of the National Academy. And we're not finished with the Academy yet. Next up on the fiberglass, Julianne Brumbaugh. Julianne just gathering her thoughts. Here we go. Dick Mulvihill, the coach, pulls away the board.
Stole the shoot. Hop change. Now watch this. A front somersault again. Giant swing. Swing is the name of the game on the bars today. Another giant swing. Toe on. Front 1.5. And an absolutely great landing.
Oh, if swing is the thing, I think Julianne Brumbaugh might have a good score here. Let's take another look.
Stole the shoot, hop change, releases a grip, and now she hikes down for a front giant swing into a front somersault.
Certainly nothing major wrong here.
No, just a good routine.
9-5-5. We've got a tie at the top. A three-way tie at that. Julianne Brumbaugh keeps the National Academy right in the thick of things. And here's someone else who can also complicate matters for the competition, Tracy Talavera.
Yeah, she'll do that to you.
Wow.
One and a half turns. Free hip. Watch it dismount. Common each to a full twist. That's a 1.5 twisting back somersault.
What do you think, Coach?
I think it's going to be a good score, and I think the National Academy hit on bars.
I think you may be right.
Watch this 1.5 twisting pirouette bar beat. Look at that bar bend. Back up to the top bar to a free hip into the handstand, and watch this dismount. She brings her toes on the bar very, very late, generating a lot of momentum, and it's a 1.5 twisting common each back somersault. Okay, Tracy Talavera.
And for Tracy, she will fall just a little bit short of the top. 9.50 for this talented gymnast from the National Academy. And that concludes the uneven bars competition here in Reading, Pennsylvania. Here's the standings. Michelle Goodwin, Tracy Hinkle, and Julianne Brumbaugh all tied with 9.55, representing the top 3 teams here. In the all-around competition, after 2 events, Michelle Goodwin of the Berks on top again. Tracy Talavera, Tracy Calore, and Gina Salone, 2, 3, and 4. And the team standings after 2 events, it's the National Academy of Eugene, Oregon, the Parkettes of Allentown, the Berks of Reading, and the Marvatines in 4th, and that's exactly how they finished in the quarterfinals. Stay tuned, more to come on USA. Coming up next, Beam. Telling you, the host of our competition here in Reading, Pennsylvania is the Berks team. Their coach, Tom McCarthy, is a dedicated man who has also told us that he wants to prove to these young ladies, his competitors, that there is more to life than gymnastics. And Michelle Goodwin is a perfect example. Here's John Triad.
Michelle Goodwin, the world doesn't stop just for gymnastics, and she found that out today. What happened today, Michelle?
Well, I had to get up at 7 o'clock to go to school and take 2 finals.
What are the finals in?
In analysis and English.
And how do you think you did?
I studied pretty much for them, so I think I did okay.
been a pretty hectic season for you this year, and you did really great at the championships of the United States. And between the studying, the workouts, the competitions, how do you manage to fit all of that in?
Well, you just take it day by day mostly. I get all my schoolwork done as soon as I can. We get out of school to go and practice, so we practice and then do a little homework and then practice some more.
Now, the championships, you took 6th place in what I would consider a mean competition. Those were very tough girls out there, and you weren't really able to display your skills up to par. Why?
Well, a couple months ago, I hurt my ankle trying a new vault, and so it's not totally healed yet.
Right, and that, in a sense, affected your floor exercise performance. Did it affect it for the positive or the negative?
Well, I didn't have as much difficulty in my tumbling, so I concentrated more on my dance and made that, you know, look a lot prettier.
Your dance does look a lot prettier. It really does. Now, this team competition, it's not an individual competition like the championships. How is that different for you, you know, competing in a team-oriented competition?
Well, I don't try as much. I mean, I don't try to do it for me. I try and do it for my team because I know the team's counting on me to help, you know, boost the scores up.
I know you will, and good luck today.
Thanks a lot.
Well, the grades for Michelle Goodwin are already in this competition. It's an A. She is the all-around leader so far through 2 events. But the Burks will not be able to beam themselves up to the top. They'll have to do it the old-fashioned way and earn it. The competition stiffens now as we move to the 3rd event. And this is the Burks team in 3rd place in the overall team standings. The lady from Great Britain on the beam, Cheryl Weatherstone.
Right up into that handstand. Alan, the key here is no falls, consistency, but yet display a lot of confidence and go all out while you're performing these very difficult combinations on the balance beam.
In the quarterfinals, John, little Christy Phillips, all of about 4 feet, told us that big feet was a key in the beam. Is it really?
Well, having a larger foot size might help slightly, but what's most important is how you use your feet. If you watch the gymnast, and that's a back somersault, extremely well performed, you notice that the feet are turned to the side, allows more surface area in which to land on, and at the same time, with your toes hanging over the beam, you could actually grab the beam with your toes. So it's how you use your feet. And if you notice, the toes are always hanging over.
Now, as far as the Burks are concerned, it is not so important that they finish first here to take a lead into the finals, because in the finals, a whole new score begins. These semifinal scores are wiped out, but it is a confidence builder to carry into the finals. A strong performance in the semis would do that. And
well,
Cheryl Weatherstone wraps it up nicely.
Cheryl got off to a good start. Team is ecstatic. As you can see, no falls. And watch this. Back somersault, one-legged takeoff, and then she continues. And watch this back handspring, Alan. She does it with one arm. You don't want to miss. One arm. Here it comes. One hand touching the beam.
I'd hate to think what would happen if she did miss, but she did not, and receives a 9.40. And if the Burks want to catch the National Academy or the Parkettes, they'll need every 10th. The National Academy leading the Parkettes by 7/10 and the Burks by 9/10 coming into the beam competition. Here's Amy Affleck.
And got off to a great start, a front somersault.
We've seen a lot of this young lady in the quarterfinals and in the other events here, John. What do you think of her?
Oh, I think that she's a very improved gymnast, and it's demonstrated by her aggressive performances and her attitude towards every routine that she's performing. She's not holding back. She's matured, and I really sense a tremendous display of confidence while she's performing. Back handspring, back layout, no hesitation, but off to the side and down for a 5/10 deduction. That hurts, especially since you mentioned that every 10th counts now. Full turn, one of the requirements on the balance beam.
teammates on the sideline, staring, hoping.
But she doesn't have another fall. But she won't. Here comes a dismount. Double twisting back somersault. And aside from that one major deduction, this was a pretty solid routine.
But you saw how quickly that smile disappeared for Amy Appler.
And here's that fall. A back handspring back layout. The back layout, she was just off to the side as she threw her body up and around. And there's the 5/10 deduction. And Alan, add 5/10 to her score. And you see what her score would have been without that fall.
It would have been a 9.5, but it is not. It is a 9.00 for this former Pennsylvania champion and a representative of the United States 2 years in a row. Now to someone who can put the squeeze on the National Academy and the parkettes with her performance. She'll talk with her extremities. Michelle Goodwin.
Back handspring onto the end of the beam. And this is a great camera angle because you could really see how important it is to keep the body centered over the beam. Hips, shoulders, and legs and feet all in alignment to maintain your balance. So while you're performing these very difficult movements like a side aerial back handspring, which is an extremely difficult combination, you can't be off to the side. This is a great routine so far.
Michelle, the all-around winner in the quarterfinals and the all-around leader now. We just saw her win on the bars.
So far, I only see a 10th deduction in this full routine. Front aerial, solid, solid. Her way to the end of the beam. Get set for her dismount. Round off, punch, and double twisting back somersault. And this was just a great routine, and it's going to have a real positive effect on the team score.
I'd say she took her hammer out and nailed it.
Watch this side aerial back handspring without a wobble.
For Michelle Goodwin, a 9.85. That will be a difficult score to beat. And she has put the squeeze on. All right, the first competitor to challenge that score will be Cheryl Kaneshiro of the Marvatines.
Cheryl has done marvelously well on vault and uneven bars, and on the balance beam. The key here is not to fall, but at the same time perform some very difficult combinations. Back handspring, back layout, just a slight wobble.
Cheryl is 13, and she's been involved in gymnastics since she was 5.
Well, Gary Anderson has done a marvelous job with the Marvatines, and I'm very impressed with their technical skills and how they approach every event. I feel this is one of the real up-and-coming teams in the United States.
Think about it for a moment. She's 13 years old with 8 years experience.
It's a lifetime, huh? What's amazing, Alan, is that some of the youngsters also, and here's a dismount, double twisting back somersault. It was a very fine routine, just little wobbles here, little wobbles there that are going to lower her score.
For Cheryl Kaneshiro, a 9.30. It's a respectable score that will help keep the Marvatines where they are now in 4th spot. A team that was in 4th spot for a while was the Atlanta Gymnasts. Here's Beth Anderson, a little shaky on her mount.
straddle down out of a back handspring. A movement she's going to perform now is called a Valdez. A full turn.
Do any of these young ladies perform a trietta?
No, no. Back handspring, back layout. Now she's doing very well in this routine, Alan, except on her mount, as you noticed, she had just a slight wobble. Now out of her back layout here, another slight wobble and an extra step backwards. These are all the small little deductions that all add up. And a Sukahara dismount. It was an excellent dismount, but just one little step backwards on the landing for another 10th deduction. And I think this is all going to be reflected in her score.
Mentally, you don't want to wobble on your mount. That sets a bad tone for the rest of the routine. Here's a replay.
Here's her front summy, which was very well performed. It was straddle jump, and this was extremely smooth.
For Beth Anderson of the Atlanta Gymnasts, a 9.10. And that may help them maintain their position, but certainly not enhance it. On we go now to a different team, the flips. And this is Christy Stitzer.
A press right into the handstand. Pirouetting out. Watch this combination, Alan. It's remarkable. Back handspring, back layout, back layout. That is wild. A 10th deduction, but it's such a high risk skill. And what I mean by risk not to the gymnast regarding injury, risk regarding the performance of the routine. It's very easy to fall off on a movement like that, and therefore it risks her doing well and scoring well. So she would get back some additional tenths for such a high risk skill.
That was my question. Do those tenths compensate for the stumble that she had and a tenth that she may have lost there?
It's called being rewarded back with bonus points. The judges really look at that. And Christie's doing a very fine job. This is going to be an excellent score. And watch her dismount coming up. Back handspring, full twisting back somersault, not a wobble on her landing.
Christy Stitzer.
Great routine.
Bangs one out on the beam. One more look of her mount.
Press right into the handstand on the very end of the beam. Look how her hands are grabbing the beam. Splits, and now pirouettes out using a one-arm handstand. Here's the one-arm handstand, pirouetting out.
And for Christy Stitzer, a fine score reflecting that fine routine, 9.50. And that will certainly help out her flips team. Beam will continue from Reading, Intercourse, PA, and Bird in Hand, Pennsylvania. And that, of course, means Amish country. As we continue with the semifinals of the USAIGC National Team Championships, here's Tracy Kalor of the Parkettes. And the Parkettes right now sit on top of the heap.
Well, Tracy Kalor is helping them sit on top of this heap.
It's actually not a heap. These girls are too cute to be in a heap, aren't they?
9-7 on vault. Remarkable score.
Well, she was good in the quarterfinals.
Look at that. Round off, back somersault in layout position and flew through the air. Tracy really demonstrates qualities of a champion. I mean, no hesitancy about her work. She is very quick in her movements, and at the same time, very graceful. Precise.
Colorful.
That's a good one, Alan. And back handspring, back handspring. Not a wobble. And a dismount, double back somersault. Oh, this is a great routine.
And the Parkettes love it.
She threw everything in there but the kitchen sink.
Now this ought to be a neat shot.
Yes, you were mentioning feet before. And very important to have the feet aligned properly on the beam. And you can see how she's grabbing the beam with her toes. Especially on the difficult combinations. That's a good shot.
Tracy Color on her toes all the way and registering a 9.55 for the Parkettes. But still, that awesome score by Michelle Goodwin is the one to beat, 9.85. Here's Tracy Butler.
The Parkettes really doing a great job. I'm very impressed by the fact that they are so precise in their skills. Now you just saw Tracy Color. Now you have Tracy Butler up there, two Tracys, and Tracy Butler is machine-like almost in her movements.
And the Parkettes also have Tracy Hinkle.
Very smooth. That's some trio, huh? Just a slight little wobble there. Right into the handstand. Little flexibility here. Now a little strength in the planche. Parkettes are looking real tough. And Tracy's dismount. Double twisting back somersault. And that would have been a super routine, except she stumbled forward on her dismount. Round off, back somersault, layout position, straight on.
And the number for Tracy Butler, well done, 9.65. And you're right, these Parkettes do look tough. I wonder, can they catch the National Academy and move in front again?
Front somersault. Gina can be very tough on this event. She's capable of scoring well, way up in the nines. Notice the rhythm of a veteran. She moves from one skill to the next smoothly.
Four judges. Take away the high, take away the low, and average the middle two.
Gina has that crowd hypnotized. Double turn. This is a great routine. Front somersault. She cheats, Alan. She has glue on her feet. And a dismount. Double back somersault. And not a wobble. What a great routine.
And I wonder what the National Academy might be thinking as they look over towards the beam and see the Parkettes performing up a storm.
I'm sure a real big wow. Watch this. Back tuck on the beam. Precise. Just a slight wobble. And that was about the only deduction that I saw. Maybe another slight wobble early on.
Well, an individual from the Parkettes may not win this event, but certainly that's not important from a team standpoint. Gina Stallone, 9.85. She has tied Michelle Goodwin at the top. What I was going to say was that it's not important that you win individually, except yourself, but from a team standpoint that you simply score consistently high. And now we move to the National Academy. Yolanda Mavety on the beam.
Doing a good job right now. A great crowd here for semifinals. The final show is going to be really slam, bam, kaboom. Top 4 teams, and they're going to let it all out on the final day of competition. I can't wait to see that.
And of course, you can see that right here on USA.
Back somersault. A little bit of a wobble there. No major deductions for Yolanda, but just small little breaks here and there. And her dismount, double twisting back somersault. And you can see she kind of stumbled at the end. And on her double twister, her legs were somewhat crossed and they weren't really together with good toe point. The judges are certainly going to pick that up. Little body wave and arm action and back somersault and just that slight little wobble. Little 10th there, little 10th there, Alan. All adds up.
Chips away. Yolanda Mavety, 9.40. She gives way now to her teammate, Cindy Cole.
Back handspring on the beam. Full turn.
National Academy is from Eugene, Oregon, and Cindy lives there as well.
Side aerial. Graceful movements of Valdez standing up. Side aerial, hang on, hang on. Well, she hung on. She didn't get a 5/10 deduction, but she certainly is going to receive at least a 3/10 deduction for that. But it pays to fight. Back handspring. Dismount, double twisting back somersault, and that's a shame, you know. At the very end of her routine on the dismount, you can see her hand touch the floor, and she stumbled around. That's going to be at least another 3/10 deduction. She had a good start, and here is her mount. A round-off back handspring onto the beam, but it's unfortunate for Cindy that the rest of the routine wasn't as consistent.
And the National Academy lead is slipping away. 8-9-0 for Cindy Cole. They go to the old veteran to help them hang on. Here's Tracy Talavera.
Back handspring mount, 2 back handsprings afterwards, and that's 3 back handsprings in a row. Watch how fluid Tracy is. her ability to concentrate, maintain her energy level, not get too excited.
Tracy most certainly has Los Angeles on her travel itinerary for next summer. Score to beat, 9.85.
A flare. Split. Side aerial. A little out of control there, but a good comeback. Back layout. A 1 1/4 turn. Well, Talavera's coming up with a good routine. Back handspring, full twisting back somersault. And she's going to give the National Academy the score they really need. Watch the mount. 3 back handsprings in a row. Round off. Back handspring on the beam. Back handspring. Back handspring. Super routine.
And the score for Tracy Talavera, 9.75. And if not for that one fleeting moment, it would have been higher. She was out of control for just that brief second. And so the beam competition is complete. Michelle Goodwin and Gina Stallone tie at 9.85, and Tracy Talavera finishes third at 9.75. So once again, the top 3 teams are represented. The all-around after 3 events, Michelle Goodwin has maintained her lead in front of Tracy Talavera of the National Academy. Gina Stallone and Tracy Kalora are right behind them, numbers 3 and 4. The team standings have changed. The Parkettes are back on top. They lead the National Academy by 45 hundredths, followed by the Burks and the Marva teams are still in 4th. Coming up on USA, we invite you to stay tuned for the grand finale on floor exercise. All the fine movements in gymnastics enhanced by the element of dance. And that brings us to floor exercise, the 4th and final event in the semifinals. And performer number 1 comes to us from the leading team at this moment, the Parkettes. This is Tracy Hinkle, one of the Tracy trio of the Parkettes of Allentown.
We're going to see very difficult tumbling movements, dance, acrobatics, and a double back somersault for her mount. Must utilize the entire 40 by 40 area of the floor exercise. And here's her second tumbling pass. An Arabian to a full twist.
You mentioned the floor, John. In and of itself, it is a miraculous piece of equipment. It has foam underneath it and then springboards underneath that. These gymnasts can really get a good balance on the floor.
Big change in apparatus occurred approximately 5 years ago, and with that, the revolution of women's performances on floor exercise. At one time, you very rarely saw a lady perform a double back somersault. Now they're performing double back somersaults with a full twist. And they're flying now, double twisting back somersault here. Oh, another solid performance with Tracy Hinkle.
Doing the Lehigh Valley proud. One more look.
Watch this Arabian front somersault with a half turn to a full twist. This was her second pass. Smoothly performed. Always under control.
And for Tracy Hinkle, a 9.65 to put the pressure on right away off the start. Here's her teammate, Tracy number 2. Tracy Butler.
This is a real talented youngster, and here's her first pass. Round of back handspring, double back somersault in tight position. When I I utilize the term pike, Alan, it means that they keep their knees straight, bending at the hip.
That was pretty snazzy.
It certainly was. Change of pace on the music. An Arabian. Full twisting back somersault. Double twisting back somersault for a dismount. Just a slight form break at the end.
Well, John, did the butler do it?
I think the butler certainly is doing it, and on every event, she's doing some great performances. Here's an Arabian to a full twist. This was her second pass. Smooth.
Tracy Butler, a 9.45. Put that together with a 9.65, and it's a great start for the Parkettes in this final event. Here's Gina Stallone. Had a 9.85 on the beam a short while ago. Let's see what she follows it up with.
Triple turn on the floor. Little starter. And here's her mount. Round back handspring, double back somersault, pike position. Smooth. Always under control. Gina's becoming a better dancer, as you can notice.
To the music of West Side Story.
1.5 twisting back somersault to a full twisting back somersault. A nice combination. Isn't that pretty? It's wonderful seeing some of these youngsters stay in the sport and mature, because they can really be something to watch. When they get the experience and the maturity of Gina Stallone. She's coming into her own. And now here's a dismount. Double back somersault. Just a slight step forward, but it's a very difficult dismount. What do you think, Alan? Did you like it?
I liked it a lot. And I think Gina Stallone did too. Well, 1, 2, and 3. The Parkettes really turned it on here.
And here's Gina's mount, a round of back handspring, double back somersault in pike position, knees straight. Great landing.
And the judges enjoyed Gina Stallone's routine as well. 9.65 to tie the score to beat. And we move on to the Marvatines now, and Cheryl Kaneshiro. It seems that Cheryl always comes up following a great routine.
Well, I have a funny feeling that Cheryl is an explosive tumbler because she does so well in the vaulting event. And here's her first pass, round off back handspring, double back somersault in the pike position, way up there. She flies along the mat. Second tumbling pass, round off back handspring, full twisting back somersault. A little too easy of a pass considering her ability. Thought I would see a more difficult tumbling move. Twisting back somersault, stumbled well-performed routine. And here is her mount. Watch how high she gets. Double back somersault in pike position, way up there, good arm reach, solid landing.
9.40 for Cheryl Kaneshiro. That will help keep the Marbatines where they are right now, 4th spot. We move ahead now to a familiar face belonging to Beth Anderson of the Gymnats of Atlanta.
Front somersault, double back somersault in pike position. A lot of control on the landing, Alan. She took about 2 or 3 steps backwards. Another front somersault to an Arabian. So many great people in the sport, wonderful people, and Beth is coached by 2 of the finest, Tom and Bunny Cook. And they're developing a very young team here, and I think that next year we're going to see some really good things out of the gymnastics. Last year they did so well, making finals. Double back somersault, pike position. In fact, her dismount was a lot better than her mount. A lot better control.
She was certainly in touch with the music.
And here is her mount. Russian front somersault, round off back handspring. She takes a little extra step out of the double back somersault, and here's those few little steps backwards that will cause a little deduction in her routine.
9.35 for Beth Anderson. More competition to come in floor exercise. Stay with us. The final step in the final event here in Reading, Pennsylvania. Attempting to floor us now is Cheryl Weatherstone of the Burks.
Well, watch the beginning of Cheryl's floor exercise routine. I really like it. Double back somersault and the dance elements out of it.
It would seem to me, John, that these gymnasts would love this event the most because they can really let it all hang out, give it their own input.
Certainly can. Here's where the femininity of the sport really comes out. The dance elements, and at the same time, the athletic ability with tumbling movements and the acrobatic movements. Choreography is so important. Next tumbling pass, front somersault. Very quickly performed, full twisting back somersault. Change of pace here. Cheryl's dismount, round off, back handspring, full twisting back somersault. My only criticism on the whole routine, it was extremely well-performed routine. I think the dismount was too easy. The full twisting back somersault is too easy. Now look at the beginning of her routine. Double back somersault, pike position, way up there.
Well, perhaps, John, the judges agreed with you. 9.35 for Cheryl Weatherstone. I was wondering, do the gymnasts have to register their music at any time, or is it possible that two gymnasts could use the same music to perform?
It happens a lot, and on the lower levels, class 3, 2, and 1 program in the United States, a lot of the gymnasts use music that they buy off of these records that are choreographed just for floor exercise. And Amy got off to a great start with a high double back somersault. But at this level, it's all individually choreographed, and all the music is original music. And it's very expensive and very professionally done.
It's like walking into a party and seeing someone wearing the same dress as you. You don't want to think that you're using the same music as someone else is.
You never see it on the higher levels. It's a great routine. Amy just performed another double back somersault for a second pass. Here's a split jump, split leap, side aerial, right into the handstand, utilizing the floor exercise in a very expert manner. And now her dismount. Round off back handspring, double twisting back somersault.
Well, you may remember back to the beam when Amy Appler stumbled and fell, and how disappointed she was then, but how happy she is now.
Well, when Amy gives you that smile, she really gives you that big smile, and she was really happy about this routine, and why not? Here's an Arabian, round off back handspring to a double back somersault for her mount.
Well, the only difference was that smile left, and it looks as though this one will stay for a while. 9-7-0. We have a new leader by 5/100ths, Amy Appler. On to her teammate now, who has been performing up a storm, Michelle Goodwin.
Well, she won the all-around in the quarterfinals, and she's in the lead in the all-around now. And Alan, mentioned that she had a bad ankle, so instead of starting with a high double back somersault, something like that, she's going to do something a little bit different, a 2.5 twisting back somersault. That's what she just performed. And because her ankle's bothering her, she's concentrating more in the dance. Watch. Dance combination, a tumbling pass, an Arabian to a full twisting and step out. Look at the extension. She's really in touch with the music, and this whole routine is choreographed. Does a great job here. Double twisting back somersault, and you're going to see a very high score.
The National Academy may now be in trouble from below once again. The Burks, with what seems to be two fabulous routines in a row.
And here we go. Here is the mount. 2.5 twisting. 1, 2.5 into a front handspring.
How to do it with a sore ankle by Michelle Goodwin. 9-7-5. We have a new leader, and couple that with Amy Appler's 9-7, and the Burks have put something together here in the last event. On to the National Academy now, Julianne Brumbaugh.
Has a pixie little kid who's a little fireball. Watch her tumble. Front tuck, double back somersault in high position. Talking about rotating that double back fast. She could really spin it. Double twisting back somersault.
John, there are some things that only years can give you. All the practice in the world won't give you that little extra that the older girls seem to have. The
Well, I think some of the younger girls have it, but it's not mature. It's not developed.
Well, that's what I mean.
It takes the experience, and it comes with the age. And I think there's a great transition when a girl is 12, 13 years of age, and when she becomes 15, 16, and 17 years of age. And this has been one of the biggest and most enjoyable things that I've seen in the sport in the last few years. It's no longer dominated by the 11 and 12-year-olds. The girls that are dominating the sport are the more mature 15 to 18-year-olds. And double back somersault in pike position.
Julianne Brumbaugh turns in a fine routine.
I mean, you remember Nadia when she first cracked on the scene. I mean, she was about 12 years of age.
Well, Nadias don't come along that often.
No, they don't. Double back somersault, pike position for her mount. Just a little stumble there. And a little more work, a little more maturity, and that's going to be a great routine.
9.45 for Julianne Brumbaugh, the National Academy. Two more competitors to go now. Cindy Cole.
Now look at her dance ability.
And off we go.
Another double back somersault. This one was performed in tuck position. It's when they bring their knees to their chest and form a little ball to rotate around. I like the way Cindy presents herself on floor exercise, especially her dance elements.
She received a 9.4 with this music and this routine in the quarterfinals.
Big change of pace here. Also allows her to rest a little bit before her last tumbling pass. And here she goes again. I like this routine. Round and back handspring, double twisting back somersault. Very pretty dismount. Technically, exceptionally well performed. Outstanding movement. And here's Cindy's dismount, round off back handspring, double twist. Look at the toe point and the control. I like it.
For Cindy Cole, the judges give her a 9.40, so she matches the score that she received in the quarterfinals. Consistency for that young lady. She'll do it again in the finals. Now to Tracy Talavera. Still that score to beat, 9.75.
Tracy's first pass, Russian front somersault, round off back handspring, double back somersault, pike position. Good start. Tracy's done a much better job today than the quarterfinals. He's having a good beat. Round off back handspring, double back somersault in pike position. Out there, where does this music come from?
I feel like we're supposed to watch a movie after this.
That's right. It's the theme from home box office. One of the subtle influences of cable, huh? Going to be a very good score. Tracy just nails a dismount, which she certainly did. Double twisting back somersault to a round off 1.5 twisting dive roll. Nice seeing Tracy perform at this level.
for a look.
Round off, back handspring, double back somersault for a second pass, pike position, solid landing.
And for Tracy Talavera, 9.65, right near the top, but not quite. That's a wrap on the semifinal competition. Here's a look at the final standings in floor exercise. Michelle Goodwin of the Berks wins it. Amy Appler, her teammate, right behind, followed by Tracy Hinkle and Gina Stallone of the Parkettes and Tracy Talavera of the National Academy. In the all-around for the second straight day of competition, Michelle Goodwin wins. Tracy Talavera, followed by Gina Stallone and Tracy Calore of the Parkettes. And the team standings, these four will go to the finals. The Parkettes of Allentown, the Berks, the National Academy in third. The Berks squeezed them out, and the Marvatines. We'll be back.
In sporting championships, it always gets exciting when you reach the final